Naruto built a harem with Yugao, Kushina and Mikoto. Secret bonds, forbidden choices, and a destiny that challenges the shinobi world. If you enjoy powerful Naruto what-if stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1, Can I Blow Your Flute? It's a bright and sunny day on the forest a few miles away from Konohagakure. The camera shows the quiet, lush forest. The sun radiating a warm feeling when suddenly an orange blur is seen dashing through the treetops. This blur reveals itself to be the one and only Naruto Uzumaki. The loud-mouthed, good-natured knuckle-headed ninja known throughout Konoha. He has recently completed a mission given to him by Lady Tsunade, the fifth Hokage, which required him to head to Sunagakure to deliver a message to his friend Gaara, who was the case-cage of the village. Man, I can't believe that guy became the case-cage. I have some serious catching up to do. Naruto thought in frustration. The blonde bastard continues hopping through the trees when suddenly he comes across a part of the forest that looked like it was destroyed by a powerful hurricane. What the happened here? He mumbled. His thoughts were interrupted when he hears someone moan in pain. Who is that? Naruto then hops in the direction where the moans seemed to come from and reaches the source. He saw someone pinned on the ground below by several trees. Exclamation mark. I'll take that fan of hers and shove up her wrinkly pussy. The unknown person shouts in obvious frustration as they struggle more. Naruto squints his eyes to take a better look at the person, making out her red hair, familiar brown eyes. He goes wide-eyed when he realizes who it is. The person is none other than Tayuya from the Sound 4. Just a few days ago she got into a fight with Shikamaru and Temari, and well, that didn't end well for her. Oh, it's her, that girl, she helped kill the old man. Naruto whispered to himself. Despite the fact that he was in the presence of an enemy kunoichi, he just couldn't bear to see her in pain or even leave her to die like this. It wasn't something Naruto would do. He had the most kindest heart in all of the elemental nations. I can't leave her out here like this, she'll die. Tayuya, growing more frustrated by the minute, growls in sheer anger before shouting at the top of her lungs. When I get my hands on that shadow prick and fan bitch, they're so fucked. Just then she hears what sounds like someone landing a few feet in front of her and poking her head up to look at the source of the noise. She is greeted by a face she hoped she'd never have to see again after their first encounter a few years ago. Beside her was Naruto, or shithead, as she liked to call him. The guy with that god-awful orange jumpsuit was now donning a black and orange jumpsuit, which she thought was even worse. Oh, Naruto definitely remembered their encounter a few years back. It was when Otogakure was reportedly sending their shinobi into Fire Country after their first failed attack on Konoha during the Chunin exams. He, Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi were sent to investigate these claims, and they happened to come across the Sound 4. Let's just say Tayuya decided to take Naruto on, and that's how they pretty much met. Oh god, what the air you doing here, you pindick? Tayuya shouted in a mix of annoyance and anger. Hearing the girl's language was enough to get a smirk out of Naruto. Well, looky here, it's that Oto Kunoichi from a few years back. So how's it going? Naruto asked with a mischievous grin. Tayuya only growled in response before spitting right in his face. What do you think, bump? I'm trapped under all these damn trees. Oh well, that's unfortunate, but listen, what's your name? Naruto said with a sweat drop. None of your business, you whisker-marked bastard. What are you even doing here anyway? Come to rape a poor defenseless girl, huh? Tayuya snarled. Naruto rubbed his head, giving out small laugh. Well, no, actually. I know you're an enemy and all, but just the sight of you helpless here is sickening, so I came to help you get out. Tayuya was shocked to hear this. Never in her 16 years of living has anyone ever offered to help her, well besides Orochimaru when he found her, but that bastard her life up even more. Confused as to why an enemy ninja like Naruto would help her, she had to ask. Why the would you want to help me? I was there when that snake pedo killed your precious Hokage, dumbshit. Enemy or not, I still can't leave anyone out here to die like this. Also, you're not at fault here, it was Orochimaru who was directly responsible for his death, so he's the enemy in my eyes. Not you, Naruto said as he produces several shadow clones to help. Hey, I didn't ask for your help. As a matter of fact, you should kill me anyway. I'd rather be stabbed to death than be saved by anyone, let alone a Konoha ninja. Her words, however, did not get through the Naruto as he and his clones continue removing the trees from her. After a few minutes, Tayuya was free, although her legs were a bit mangled. Seeing this, Naruto shook his head in disgust before grabbing a canteen from his sash and handing it to the Oto Kunoichi. You're probably thirsty, here, have some water, he said with a warm smile. No way, don't think I'm grateful with all the help you're giving me. Orochimaru would come for me eventually, Tayuya said with a growl. Naruto then gave her a stern look. Putting the canteen down, he places both his hands on her shoulders and looks her in the eye. Alright, you know what? You really think that pedophile really cares about you? What has he ever done for you beside make you a tool for battle? Answer that question. Also, how long were you trapped here? By the looks of it, I wager a few days, maybe 3 at most. Has anyone come for you at all? The blonde said in a smartass tone. Tayuya growled in frustration when she realized that the blonde was right, even though she wanted to strangle the blonde was actually taking in his words. Yeah, sure, Orochimaru found her when she was a young girl and took her in, but he only took her in to make her a tool for war. How did she not realize this sooner? Giving him her usual scowl, she decided to accept the blonde's help. Fine, give me that water. You piece of shit. Naruto complies and hands her his canteen, which she downed vigorously. Oh damn, take it easy. She drinks the last of the water and gives out a huge burp that sees several spit shoot out of her mouth and land on Naruto's face. Hey, what the hell? Naruto shouted in disgust as he wipes his face off. Well, you were in the way, dumbass, now take your canteen back before I shove it up, Hyuga said with a chuckle. As he goes to put his canteen in his sash, Naruto was thinking about what he should do now that she was free from her ordeal. Noticing Hyuga wince in pain and clutching her legs, he decided it would be best to take her back to Konohagakure with him and see if Lady Tsunade would be willing to help her. Hey, what they said, since it seems that Orochimaru basically abandoned you, so how about I take you back to Konoha with me? Naruto said, sporting his signature foxy grin. Punch. You think they'll let me in after what happened? My village and Sunagakure invaded your shitty village, don't you remember? Hyuga sneered, felt so nice to kill some of your people too. Naruto rubs his cheeks to ease the pain before he just gives her another one of his sincere looks. Look, that's the past, alright. You have nowhere to go, so the best thing I can do for you is take you to Konoha. You need medical attention too, and the 5th Hokage will be willing to help if you explain your situation to her. Another thought crossed his mind, and with a snap of his fingers he takes a kunai out from its pouch, much to the shock of Hyuga. What the are you gonna do with that? You know what, just kill me. The kunoichi shouted. She closes her eyes waiting for the pain but opens them as soon as she felt a slight pressure on her forehead. There, Naruto said, nodding in satisfaction. What did you do? Hyuga asked in confusion. Well, since you've been abandoned by Orochimaru, I guess that means you can't go back to Otogakure, so I scratched out the symbol on your headband. I mean, why not? You do know what that means, right? No shit, it means that you cut off ties and are no longer allied with whatever village you're from. She answered. Yep, from now on you're no longer an Otogakure kunoichi. Anyway, let's get going. Naruto declared. Hyuga only looks at him in utter confusion. Here before her was a ninja that she fought with a few years back and pretty much kicked. Yeah, sure, he was offering help, but she is still wary. Then again, no guy had ever shown great concern for her before. She saw it in the blonde's eyes too. Real, genuine concern for her well-being. Knowing that he would not leave, she sighs in defeat. Fine, I accept your help, shitface. Now give me a piggyback ride then. She ordered. Smirking, Naruto nods before gently scooping her up and putting her on his back. Watch where you put those ugly hands of yours, don't cop a feel. I'm not a pervert, Naruto said before he takes off. Konoha main gate. Izumo and Kotetsu were bored out of their minds because for them it was another boring, shitty day at gate guarding duty. Well, they're always on this duty, so by this point they really didn't give a flying shit. They were too busy staring off into space when suddenly they spot a hint of orange walking through the main gate. Hey, is that Naruto? Guess he's back from Sunagakure. Izumo inquired. Yeah, but who's he carrying? Kotetsu asked. Naruto sees them staring at him with suggestive smirks on their faces. What the hell are you guys looking at? So, Naruto has finally found himself a girlfriend. I'm so proud of you. Izumo said, crying anime-style tears. A tick mark forms onto Yuya's head. What? I'm not his girlfriend, she screams before punching him away into the sky. Kotetsu becomes still in fear before running back to take his seat at the guarding station as Naruto heads off with Hyuga to see Tsunade at the office and/or hospital. When they arrived and met Lady Tsunade, Naruto had explained Hyuga's predicament to her, and normally Tsunade would not help an enemy ninja, especially after the attack on their village during the Chunin exams. But when she heard that Hyuga was a pawn and tool of Orochimaru, she decided to give the redhead a chance and heal her busted legs. 5-month time skip. It's been over 5 months since Hyuga was founded by Naruto in the forest, and since then Tsunade had made the former Oto Kunoichi a brand new Chunin of Konoha, and despite her harsh attitude and foul mouth, the blonde had become very attracted and attached to her. After the meeting with Tsunade, she began living with Naruto for her own protection, and ever since they've been assigned missions together and were on their way home from just completing one in the Land of Iron. Making their way through the village, they then head into the Hokage Tower to report their success and get the proper pay of an A- rank mission. They then spent over an hour conversating with the Sannin, and one topic made Naruto cringe. Hell, since Naruto already knew who his parents were, Tsunade told Naruto about the Clan Restoration Act and asked him if he was interested in it. He was disgusted, however, at the thought of being Konoha's biggest man whore. Besides, he already had his eyes set on Hyuga anyway, so he had to say no. The two of them shunshin out of the Hokage Tower. Hey, shithead, let's just head on home, I'm too tired to even do any more shit. Hyuga said, rubbing her legs. Sure, that assassination took a lot out of us, so, why not? Naruto said as they leap over houses back to their home. Naruto and Hyuga's apartment. I'll go grab some food, want me to make anything, you fast-eating prick? Hyuga asked. Nah, I'm good, so go ahead and make yourself something nice. I'll go put a movie on and we can relax for the evening. Naruto responded. Well, suit yourself, dick. Hyuga laughed. Naruto walks over to the TV in the living room and looks through his movie pile. After finding the one he wanted to watch, he puts it in the Blu-ray player and takes a seat on the couch. Meanwhile, Hyuga is seen taking out some cooking material and sets them on the counter before she halts her activities and takes a peek at Naruto. Again, he's the only person, specifically a boy, that ever treated her with kindness, and the past 5 months with him was easily the best in her life. Yes, she acted like a total bitch to him, but deep down she really appreciated him. At this point she felt butterflies in her stomach every time she looked at him, and this feeling was completely new to her, and when she asked Lady Tsunade about it she turned really red. Learning from the Sannin that this feeling was infatuation, maybe even love, she tried to deny it. She continues looking at Naruto and took in his appearance. She admits it, at 5 feet 11 inches he was muscular, had a well-defined six-pack, nice biceps and that unruly hair, blue eyes and that smile all but made her heart melt. Ugh, alright, I like that needle-dicked, she screams frantically in her head. He probably doesn't have a needle at all, I wouldn't mind finding out right now. Walking over to join Naruto, she took a seat next to him on the couch. She swore she saw out of the corner of her eye him giving her a type of look. Now for Naruto, he was feeling something for the red-haired kunoichi. In spite of that atrocious mouth of hers, he couldn't get over her appearance. She stood at 5 feet 2 inches, had a lovely curved figure, brown eyes that made Naruto's heart skip a beat every time he had the chance to look at them. Her C-cup were easily his favorite part. Every moment he spent with her he really wanted to feel them, but he dared not ask her. He admitted to himself that she was way better than Sakura. That pink banshee never returned his feelings, so he gave up on her a while ago. Plus Tayuya's red hair was way better than pink. Her new look too made her look evenier than most of the girls he knew. Her usual outfit now consists of the standard Konoha Chunin vest, black OTK socks with jean shorts and a Konoha bandana. 15 minutes into the movie, Tayuya hadn't noticed that her hand had found its way atop of Naruto's. Even though he noticed it, he didn't move it away at all and enjoyed the feeling. Naruto's hand would move as if it had a mind of its own, and in no time flat their hands were intertwined. This caused both of them to blush beyond the normal level, and they both released their grip. They both were frantically apologizing to one another for the awkwardness. Hey you perv, don't do that again, Tayuya shouted. You started it, Naruto shot back. Sighing, Tayuya didn't really feel like arguing because she wanted to tell Naruto how she felt. Reaching for his hand with both of hers, she gets a good grip on it and looks into his eyes. Shithead, there's something I want to say to you, she said with a blush forming on her face. What is it, Tayuya? Naruto said nervously. I'm sorry for my attitude, the name calling, and well, just my foul mouth in general. I've never even once thanked you for saving me from that mess in the forest, and I'm going to say it now, thank you Naruto. She said with her blush getting even more noticeable. Yeah, no problem. Naruto chuckled. Wait, you called me by name. Damn right I did. Anyway, there's something else I want to say to you Naruto. These past 5 months have been the best of my life. Here I, a former enemy of yours, was in distress and you helped me despite my past actions. Every moment spent with you was great, and as time went on I started to feel something for you. Naruto was listening intently, a look of shock mixed with happiness on his face. Here was the biggest bitch of a girl seemingly confessing her love for him. I asked Lady Tsunade what this feeling was because I've never felt it before in my life. She told me it was love Naruto. I love you with all my heart. You're the only one who helped me in my hour of need, and you've put up with my bitchy attitude without losing your cool. Before she could finish, Naruto had planted his lips onto hers with as much passion as he can muster. Taking by surprise, Tayuya was blushing at overload. She regained her bearing and returned the kiss. This one simple kiss quickly escalated into an intense makeout session as the two were now tongue wrestling for dominance. Tayuya would be the winner, however, much to Naruto's chagrin. The two then pull apart, gasping loudly for air. I love you too, Tayuya-chan, Naruto whispered in her ear. As they continued to breath for air, the two of them hadn't noticed their arousal. Tayuya looked down and saw a bulge slowly forming under Naruto's pants. Letting her instincts guide her, she then placed her hand on Naruto's growing erection, causing the blonde to jump at the feeling. Naruto smirks at his new lover's boldness. Oh, is Tayuya-chan eager to begin already? Naruto cooed. Without warning, Naruto begins taking his shirt off, and the sight was enough to quickly make Tayuya become completely drenched. Seeing the redhead gawking over his muscles, he reaches downwards and takes both her hands into his and gently places them on his muscular body. What happened next only caused Tayuya's libido to go off the roof. He gently moves her hand down his body, allowing her fingertips to feel his glorious abs. Oh god Naruto, just wreck me already, Tayuya moaned. If you're so eager. He chuckled before taking her pants and shirt off, leaving her in only her bra and panties. Naruto takes a look at her panties and notices the massive wet spot on it. Reaching down, he forcibly removes it and places it on his nose. Taking a big whiff of it, he sighs in content. The smell being the best thing he'd ever had the fortune of smelling, and made his erection even harder. Fuck, he even thought it was so much better smelling than ramen. Damn, her smells great. I wonder how it tastes like, he thought to himself before tossing it aside. He takes a moment to gaze at her moist and saw that it was really smooth and looked super tight and clean shaven. He then lowers his head down and begins assaulting her wet folds with the utmost efficiency. Taken by the sudden attack on her moist slit, Tayuya let out a loud moan, letting her know that he was pleasing her. Naruto viciously licks away at his lovers like a rabid animal before he stops for a moment, much to the disappointment of Tayuya. Why the did you, she squealed as Naruto flicked her with his tongue. Noting her reaction, he then inserts a finger into her vaginal opening and pumps it in and out roughly while placing his mouth on her and on it. Oh god Naruto. That feels so good, please don't stop, she screamed in pure bliss as he increased the pace of his finger banging. Soon enough the pleasure would be too much for her as she felt something building up in her lower region. Placing her hands on his head, she practically shoved him deeper into Harem. That was enough to get what Naruto was waiting for. In Naruto, she screamed at the top of her lungs as she experienced her very first and very powerful orgasm, her mouth now opened in a silent scream. Her sprayed out a large amount of her juices, coating the blonde's face in it, making him appear as if he just exited the shower. Opening his mouth wide, he allowed the juices to spray into his mouth. After a few minutes Tayuya's orgasm had died down and she was left catching her breath and a blushing mess. Looking up at Naruto she saw him licking his fingers slowly, each one covered in her juice. Sucking on his pinky he then uses his pointer finger to lap up what remained of her juices off her folds and licks that up as well. Damn, your vagina and juices taste so good Tayuya. So, how did I do? He asked. That was amazing Naruto-kun. She got out between pants. I aim to please, Naruto said giving her his trademark grin. Regaining her composure, she gets up and takes his hand before leading them to the room they shared. As soon as they entered she shoved him hard onto the back where he was laying on his back. Taking off her bra she tosses it aside before getting on the bed, she then gets on all fours. Damn, that's hot, Naruto said watching the redhead slowly crawl up to him and undoing his belt. With a very forceful pull she literally rips Naruto's pants off of him and the size of the bulge made her eyes bulge out of her sockets. The moment she pulled his pants down she was struck right on the face with what she assumed had to be the biggest cock ever attached to a man. You can get a better look at it if you'd like Taiyu-chan. Naruto said in a husky voice. Totally caught off guard Tayuya managed to regain her bearing, the sight before her made her gush out even more liquids moistening her even more. The sheer size and girth of Naruto was unbelievable. Holy shit, that thing is like 17 inches long and 4 inches wide. Those veins. Hell his ballsack looks like it's swollen. Damn shithead, you're a stud. I take it back you're not a needle-dicked. Tayuya thought transfixed on the sight, her mouth watering and her blush only increasing. Naruto noticed that she was just staring at it. Was it turning her off? Taiyu-chan, is something wrong? He asked nervously. Shaking her head, she licks her lips before looking at her lover. Sorry Naruto-kun, I was just surprised as all. I mean holy shit you have that looks like it belongs on a Tyrannosaurus for piss sake. Smirking at her comment, Naruto couldn't help but give out a light laugh. Well, I know you like playing the flute right. So how about you play with my flute like the expert you are since you're so good at blowing? Naruto said while squeezing her titties causing her to give off light moans. Gulping and licking her lips, she reaches for the ramming rod of a cock and swirls her tongue around the bulbous glands before giving a loving and passionate kiss earning a moan from her lover. Hearing her lover's moan only made her libido go up exponentially and then sticks her tongue out and puts it into his pee hole. She then places both her hands on the girthy man meat and proceeds to give him a hand job while moving her fingers as if she really was playing her flute. The sudden warm intrusion of his urethra and hand job made Naruto scrunch his face up in pleasure. Oh damn, Taiyu-chan. He moans. Hearing her lover being pleasured Tayuya then withdraws her tongue and gulping one more time, she opens her mouth as wide as she could and begins to engulf the massive cock. The warm feeling surrounding his cock made Naruto moan even louder. Tayuya then begins to bob her head at a furious pace, each time she bobbed her head down more of his massive ramrod of a cock. After a few minutes she managed to envelop over 14 inches of his massive PP with 8 of that being deep-throated. Oh damn, Tayuya your throat feels great. So warm and tight. Fuck just let meth shit out of it. HMPH. What triple A you doin'? She muffled in surprise. Tayuya, I'm gonna the shit out of your throat so here let me take charge. Naruto said with his trademark grin. Surprised at his sudden outburst, she places her hands onto the bed to balance herself and Naruto lifts her head off his massive dick. It took a while though as she is already deep-throating a large portion of it but soon she was left with only the head of Hissen between her lips. Holding his breath and summoning all the strength he could muster he slams her pretty little head down with so much force that all 17 inches of his meat scepter went straight down her gullet much to her pleasure though. Tayuya then began humming, the sheer vibrations making him groan at the extreme pleasure. Oh yee, that feels good, he shouted before he raised her head up again and slamming her head down, each movement spearing his massive down her throat and into her stomach. After about 20 minutes of throat his red-haired lover he was approaching his climax. Holy shit here it comes Taiyu-chan. He got out between pants, his face scrunching up in pure bliss as he felt his cum making its way from his ball sack and through his shaft. With her lover's orgasm imminent she pulls the prick out of her throat and leaves only the head in her mouth. She proceeds to unlick it to get the cum she so desperately desired. Oh god I'm coming, he shouted just as he shot a literal 1 gallon's worth of his spunk into her mouth making her cheeks puff out at the force of his ejaculate. She swallows it all in one gulp but before she can open her mouth to breath another load erupts into her needy mouth filling it to capacity once more. Tayuya moaned as she swallows every drop of it before Naruto pulls out and rubs his prompting himself to ejaculate more and soon enough 2 more gallons of cum covers up her succulent C-cup-sized boobies in her face. Gasping at the sheer amount of cream all over her boobies and face she then uses both her hands to take literal handfuls of baby-making material proceeds to hand-feed herself until she was cleaned up completely. Wow Naruto, that tasted like heaven, she said as she burps making her place both hands on her mouth blushing, oops, excuse me. She gasps in surprise when she notices that Naruto's battering ramrod of a cock was still rock hard. Oh yeah, what can I say? Since it's still hard want to relieve it Taiyu-chan. I still have enough energy left to give you a really good pounding. Naruto chuckled. Okay then, Tayuya said as she goes to lay down on her back with her head resting on the pillows, prove how much you love me by my tight and needy little with that huge cock of yours until you spray a lot of cum into my womb and get me pregnant. Oh I plan to. Naruto smirked before going over to lay atop his lover, they engage in a passionate kiss before Naruto positions his veiny prick at the tip of her orifice. Naruto just a second, Tayuya spoke softly. What's up Taiyu-chan? Naruto asked. Please be gentle, it's my first time, she said in a shaky voice. Smiling, Naruto places a hand on her cheek and gives her a loving kiss. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. With that he then gently slides his enormous organ into her vagina. The sheer pleasure causes Yuya to whimper in pain as she felt like his was splitting her in two. Eventually he felt her hymen. Looking at his beloved Taiyu-chan, she gives him a nod and he then pushes 3 more inches of his into her, breaking her hymen. Yuya whimpered in pain and before Naruto could ask if she was okay she puts a finger on his mouth. Just keep going Naruto-kun, she ordered. Nodding, Naruto pushes 2 more inches into her depths, making her moan loud. The sheer pleasure that followed the pain was enough to drive her crazy, deciding that being slow and gentle wasn't going to happen because she needed that pounding and she needed it now. Gah, fuck being gentle, I want you to just shove that in me and just pound me into oblivion, shithead. Yuya shouted in desperation. Alright then, don't complain to me later when you're bow-legged, you naughty girl, chuckled the blonde, horse-dicked bastard. Grasping his cock with both hands he takes a deep breath before he shoves his entire 17-incher straight into her depths, the sheer tightness making him groan in pleasure. Holy fuck. Yuya screamed, the feeling of being so filled by the massive making her whimper a bit. Fuck it, just me Naruto. Fuck my tight, you giant bastard. Thought you'd never ask. Get ready because I'm going to reshaping your and you so hard I put you in a wheelchair. Naruto grinned before withdrawing his entire length from her pussy. Before she could speak more, Naruto shoves with all his might and spears his entire length into her, penetrating her cervix and entering her womb. Shit, it feels like you've speared my womb, shithead. Stop being slow and just me really fast and hard, damn it. Yuya ordered. Naruto, smirking at his lover's desperation, and begins slamming into her at such a fast pace that the whole bed was shaking. Feeling his lover's spray a water hose of juice, this caused Naruto to pick up the pace her at a speed that made Might Guy and Rock Lee look like snails. That's right. Fuck me like that, you T-Rex dicked bastard. Oh god. She was taken by surprise when Naruto sheathed his cock from hair and suddenly flipped her over and forced her face into the pillow. Yuya decided she liked the new position and reached backwards with her hands and proceeded to spread her cheeks, giving Naruto a pleasurable view of both her puckered anus and her wet vaginal opening. Hurry up and me, shithead, who said you could stop? She shouted in the pillow, muffling her voice. Without a word, Naruto just slams his into her, getting a loud high-pitched squeal from her. Thrusting his entire length into her at such a furious pace he was practically thrusting her head into the bed frame. Yuya opened her mouth to scream but nothing came out as she was into oblivion. After about half an hour of slamming his lover senseless, Naruto felt his ballsack begin to boil from within, readying another massive load of cum. Oh shit, here it comes Taiyu-chan. Get ready because you're gonna be filled. The blonde, spiky-haired bastard said through pants. Fuck yes, fill every nook and cranny of my pussy. Shoot that cum inside me and give me a baby, she said as she goes through an earth-shattering orgasm that makes her whole body shake. Oh shit, Naruto shouted before he came to a halt. Feeling Taiyuya's clamp down onto Hi sand practically holding him in place, Naruto moaned as he shot a massive load of baby-making sperm into her, spraying her womb white as snow. Oh my god yes, Yuya shouted as she relished in pleasure of Naruto's sperm entering her cervix and getting into her uterus. Pulling out, Naruto watched in glee as he saw his massive load of spunk spill out of her pussy. Yuya goes to sit on her back and sighs in disappointment seeing a puddle of sperm under her. She and Naruto then use their fingers to scoop up the goo and gently place it at the entrance of her pussy. They then insert their fingers together inside, making sure the sperm that leaked out stayed in. Naruto then collapses next to Yuya, both a sweaty covered in juice mess. They then embrace each other and kiss passionately. Kami, that was something else Naruto. Yuya panted. Yeah it was, hope you liked it Taiyu-chan. Naruto said, placing a hand on his lover's cheek. I didn't like it shithead. I loved it, she said before she felt a minor tingling sensation in her belly. Smiling with a massive blush she then takes one of his hands and placing it on her belly. I can't wait. Me too Taiyu-chan, me too haha. He chuckled. You know Naruto, this is the first step in rebuilding your mother's clan, and quite frankly I don't mind you knocking up some other girls and making them your personal cum dumps. Yuya said with a mischievous smirk. You sure? Naruto asked confused. Receiving a nod, he smiles at her. Okay fine, but remember I won't stop the shit out of you when we get more girls. I'm happy my first time was with you Taiyu-chan. I'm happy my first time was with you Naruto-kun. They both smile hearing the other say those words at the same time. They then give each other one last passionate kiss on the lips before the two worn out lovers fall into a deep sleep. Just then a shadow hides away from view by the window. The figure is revealed to be a female Anbu with a cat mask and long purple hair. Though we can't see it, the person was blushing furiously. She was sent by Lady Tsunade to basically threaten the blonde into accepting the CRA, but instead she stumbled upon a furious session. Jumping away from the apartment she then heads back to Tsunade to report that Naruto is unavailable at the moment and to leave a message. Chapter 250 Shades of Purple. Lady Tsunade's office. It's been a week since Naruto and Yuya had confessed their feelings for each other, and since they took each other's virginity, and the two lovebirds couldn't be any happier and they were even more inseparable than before. Today was a sunny day in Konohagakure and we see Naruto and his beloved Yuya walking into the village. We see them headed towards the Hokage's office to report in for another completed mission. This time it was AC ranked 1 to deliver several Iwagakure citizens safely back to the land of Earth. Upon entering the Konoha main gate, what better way to celebrate another completed mission by eating at Ichiraku's together. Well, after they report to Lady Tsunade first and get that paycheck. The two of them walk up to the door and knock on it together. Come in, Tsunade said from the other side, and the two comply. Hey Ba-chan, me and Taiyu-chan came here to report that the mission was successful and there were no problems. Naruto said, smiling. Great, here's your page. Wait, did you just call Yuya what I think you called her? Tsunade questioned with raised eyebrows. The blonde and redhead blushed furiously, knowing that there wouldn't any point in hiding the relationship. They both sighed and explained everything to the Sannin. Tsunade couldn't help but smile at this. Ah, young love, I hope you two use protection, she said with a wink, earning more blushes from the couple. On the sidelines however, Shizune was crazy jealous of Yuya. Despite being 31 years old, she had a crush on Naruto. C-C, congrats you two. She stuttered with eyes closed. Thanks Shizune Ne-chan, Naruto shouted. Yeah, thanks Shizune, Yuya said. The four of them then conversate for a half hour. When Tsunade was about to dismiss them, Naruto decided to tell Tsunade what he thought about the CRA. Despite that he'd be the biggest man whore in Konohagakure, fuck that in the whole world, he gave it some thought and decided that having a big family wouldn't be too bad. Tsunade was just staring at Naruto with an eyebrow raised. Normally it would take a lot to get Naruto to listen to her or even change his damn mind. She then decided it would be better to flat out ask him why he was suddenly so interested in CRA. Naruto scratched his head before letting out a mischievous laugh before speaking. Well, after we had Yuya told me she wouldn't mind sharing me with other women. So I guess we can have that CRA with me for my mother Sake. Turning to look at the redhead, Tsunade gave her an astonished look. Really now Yuya, you want to share him with other women? She asked, earning a nod from the Chunin. Alright then, I'll have Shizune get the paperwork ready and I'll send an Anbu to retrieve you to start the process. Okay Naruto. That sounds like a plan. How long would it take to have CRA in effect? Naruto asked. Not long, if we rush through it we'll have it all done by the end of the day. Oh, and that reminds me Naruto, I forgot to tell you that your father has an estate if you're interested in owning it. My dad had an estate. His dad has an estate. Of course you blonde brat. It's the Namikaze estate located in the outskirts of the village. Perfect place to raise a huge family, you know. Tsunade laughed. So are you or not? Well, I don't think I'll take it right now Ba-chan. Naruto said, getting a disappointed look from his girlfriend. Alright then, just let me know. Okay. Tsunade said before shooing them away. Now I'll guess I'll be seeing you two later. However, I do have one thing to talk to Yuya about, so Naruto, can you please wait outside? Oh fine then, Naruto said before making his exit. Half an hour later the door to the office opens and Yuya walks out with a seductive grin on her face. Seeing that grin, Naruto couldn't help but ask what Tsunade had talked to her about. Ah, why that grin Taiyu-chan? Oh nothing, just some dirty stories from Lady Tsunade's life is all, she said, waving him off. Oh okay, let's go get some ramen, the blonde declared. Ichiraku ramen stand. Oh man Naruto-kun, this is some good shit, Yuya exclaimed as she ravages her fifth bowl of ramen. Naruto was staring at his girlfriend in shock. They both got their orders at the same time, but before Naruto could even pick up chopsticks, Yuya had already devoured hers. Damn, I thought I was a fast eater, he thought, sweat dropping. More old man, Yuya said to Tsuki. You got it. From the doorway leading to the back room of the shop, Ayame was staring at Naruto and Yuya in pure jealousy. Ever since she met Naruto when they were just kids, she always liked him. Probably even more so than that Hinata girl he brought that one time. Hell, she noticed the Hyuga's shyness and stuttering from just being next to Naruto. Fuck, Naruto has someone else. Why didn't I make my move sooner? She thought. I wondered how our child would look like too. Gotten all that time masturbating to his pictures too. Oh well, at least I can still do that. Damn, slow down Taiyu-chan, Naruto shouted to no avail. So after about an hour of trying to best each other to see who could eat more ramen and who could eat it faster, our couple paid for the meal, mostly Naruto since Yuya makes him. They decided to head on home for the rest of the evening. The two of them then walk holding hands in silence. Yuya turned to her boyfriend and whispered into his ear, you know Naruto, eating all that ramen got me so hot and bothered. So what do you say to a night of us just playing with each other? Naruto's meat scepter slowly started to become erect when suddenly a figure jumps in front of them. It was an Anbu with a cat mask and long purple hair. Sorry to interrupt, but Lady Tsunade had ordered me to retrieve Naruto this instance, she said in a stoic voice. Ah man, Ba-chan is always sending Anbu to retrieve me at the worst moments. Naruto said, annoyed. Don't worry sweetie, I'll be waiting at home, Yuya said, winking at the Anbu. Turning to face the Anbu, the two of them begin walking towards the Hokage's office until they enter through a dark alley. Huh, what's up Anbu-san, why are we going this way? Naruto questioned. Oh, it's a shortcut, the Anbu replied. Oh I see, Naruto said before walking ahead of the Anbu. Bonk, oof. Just then Naruto's world goes black as something hit him hard in the back of the head. Unknown person's apartment. We see the unconscious form of Naruto slowly open his eyes. Ah, damn that hurt, the blonde shouted before trying to sit up. He is suddenly pulled down and is once again laying on his back. He shouted before looking up to where his hands were. What he saw made him shiver. His hands were bounded to the bed frame via chakra handcuffs. Okay, whose sick game is this? Looking down he also noticed something. That something was that he was completely. Whoa, what is going on here? Am I in some jail or what? No Naruto, you're not in jail, just my room, a voice said. Recognizing that voice as the purple-haired Anbu, he couldn't help but get really annoyed. Okay Anbu-san, what the heck are you planning here? He asked, looking around the dimly lit room. Just then the same Anbu emerges from the shadows. She walks over to the wall to turn on her light, and what Naruto saw next baffled him. The room was filled with a BDSM material from whips, chains sticking out of the wall. In some form of rack where it looks like a person would be tied and chained to. Oh shit, Naruto said before turning to face the Anbu, just what are you doing? Why did you knock me out, jerk? The Anbu walks up to the bounded blonde and places a finger on her lips. Shish, everything will make sense in due time, Naruto. Before he could protest, the Anbu removes her cat mask, and what Naruto saw gave his ramrod an almost instantaneous hard-on. The Anbu's face was very attractive, she had brown eyes that seemed to have a look of sadness and longing in them. Seeing her tied victim's hard-on, she couldn't help but blush at the size of the beast, with her moistening instantly. Quickly regaining her composure, she clears her throat before speaking. Naruto, there's no need to call me Anbu-san, my name is Yugao Azuki, and I was ordered to do this by Lady Tsunade. She explained. Oh, that Ba-chan. Wait, do what with me, Anbu-sa? I mean Yugao-san, Naruto asked. Flashback to Tsunade's office. Naruto had just exited the office, leaving only Tsunade, Shizune and Tayuya. A fourth person suddenly shunshions into the room, and it is revealed to be the cat mask wearing Anbu. You called for me, Lady Tsunade? The Anbu asked. Ah, Neko, you've arrived. Very well then, let's talk about that. CRA and Naruto. Tsunade had explained in the next half hour her evil master plan, where she had notified Tayuya and Neko that Naruto wishes to have the CRA enacted upon him. So in conclusion, I want Neko-chan here to Naruto and make that brat the biggest man whore in all the land. Tsunade said with the most evil smile she ever had. The thought of having so many nieces and nephews is kind of fee. Tayuya said. It has been a while for me since Hayate's death. I'll go to him then, Lady Tsunade. Neko spoke softly. Very well then, Tayuya, go and head to the ramen bar with Naruto, and Neko will take him after you've finished, okay? Tsunade said. Shizune remained silent throughout the conversation, since she was a virgin and never even kissed a man before. She thought that she should have a crack at Naruto as well. What about me, Lady Tsunade? Tsunade raised her eyebrow at the medic. Oh, is innocent little Shizune eager to get some of Naruto too? Isn't that sweet? The Sannin said, getting a blush from the medic. Tayuya couldn't contain her laughter. PFT, as if Shizune can handle my man. WWW, what do you mean, Tayuya? The blushing Shizune asked. Naruto, well, he's blessed. Tayuya answered, blushing herself while twiddling her fingers. Oh, do tell us. Tsunade said curiously. Flashback end. I'll simplify it for you so even your knuckle-headed brain can understand. For the CRA, you are to pretty much bear children with many women to restore a clan, so I'm going to get knocked up by you. Got it, Yugao said sternly. Seeing the blonde stare at her with a deadpan expression, she elaborated. Lady Tsunade wants you to a lot of women and have lots of children. Naruto grimaced slightly at that. What about Tayuya? We could have at least let her know first. Shesh, it's okay Naruto, she is in on this too. Yugao reassured. She did say that having lots of nieces and nephews wouldn't be bad. Naruto's got even more hard hearing that. Well, Ba-chan wants Naruto to as much women as I please, and Tayuya actually wants to go through with this as well. Then what are you waiting for, Yugao? Come get this dick, he said huskily. Yugao then proceeds to take off her vest and her pants, leaving her in her purple lingerie that matched her elegant hair. Naruto was amazed. Her figure was really curvy, she had a toned stomach, D-cup-sized. Hot damn, he whistled. Yugao then walks over to the bed and takes Naruto's headband off her drawer. Straddling him, she then wraps it around his eyes, blindfolding them. Hey, what the heck? Naruto exclaimed. Settle down, Naruto, you like what I'll let you do next? Yugao said in a lust-filled voice. Oh yeah, what would that be? She then lowers her body where her mouth was right next to his ear. Take off my bra and panties with your teeth, she whispered in a tone that sent shivers down his spine. She then places her bra covered in front of Naruto's mouth. Feeling the soft mounts pressing against his face, he then opens his mouth, sticking out his tongue, he then using it to pull in the laces, and after a few minutes of struggling he finally was able to get a nibble on them. Shaking his head side to side, he unlaces the bra and tosses it aside. Good boy Naruto, now onto my soaked up panties, Yugao said before getting up and basically positioning her wet panties on Naruto's face. Naruto took a moment to take a nice whiff of the wet panties. Damn Yugao, you smell great. Found it, he said before taking the lace into his mouth and undoing the knot, causing the wet panties to fall onto his face. Good boy, now let me take charge from now on, the Jonin said as she gets off of Naruto and moves over in between his legs. The massive meat scepter all hard for her. That's the most delicious looking thing I've ever seen, she thought in amazement. What are you going to do to me, Yugao? The blindfolded cuffed up blonde asked. Just be quiet and let me play with you, the Jonin said before reaching towards the ramrod of Aand, gently tracing the shaft with it from bottom to top. The tingling sensation caused Naruto to shiver at the And's gentle touch. Shit Yugao, stop torturing me. I'll do what I feel like, Naruto, Yugao said before wrapping her fingers around his girth. My Naruto, I never expected the knuckle-headed ninja to be swinging around a log in his pants. Hope you don't mind me tasting it, and remember I'm in charge here, so call me Mistress Neko now instead of by name, do you understand? Why yes Mistress Neko, Naruto shouted in distress. Yugao then opens her mouth and slowly inserts the meat scepter inside her warm mouth. The sheer wetness and tightness of it making Naruto groan loud. The groan only made Yugao more eager and she wraps her other hand around the and furiously blows him while giving him a rough hand job. The sound of his pre-cum sloshing in Yugao's hand. Oh shit, Mistress Neko, you're amazing. Naruto got out between pants. Yugao was pleased to know that she was pleasuring the blonde. Withdrawing the form her mouth, she then smothers it in between her, and just as she did with her hands and mouth, and bobs up and down at such a fast pace that the Chunin was practically moaning out loud. It would be about 10 minutes before Naruto felt the sensation of his testicles readying up a gallon's worth of cum. Oh shit. Mistress Neko, I'm about to come. That's right Naruto, Mistress Neko wants you to come. Yugao said, picking up the pace, and in no time flat the blonde screamed out her name as he thrust it upwards. It took Yugao by surprise when the was shoved into her mouth and she got what she wanted. The second Naruto's prick went into her mouth, a huge load of spermatozoa shot into her mouth, striking the back of her throat. The sheer force of the ejaculate filling her needy mouth to the rim, making her cheeks puffy. Naruto's cock then halted its launch and Yugao was left to relish in pleasure. So tasty, she thought as she swirled the cum in her mouth before swallowing it all. That was easily the best cum I've ever tasted, Naruto. Now I think you've suffered long enough. Yugao then lays on her back beside Naruto. She then reaches for his shoulder and flips him over where it would have him lay on her front side. Mistress Neko, what's going on? He asked, confused. What do you think? You're going to me brains out until you come in my needy cunt and inseminate me. Understand, or do you not want to? She said in a bossy manner. Also, the missionary position makes it easier for the man to impregnate the female. Before the blonde could speak up, Yugao had reached downwards and grasped histo-guided into her wet beyond belief orifice. The head just touching the opening. Grabbing her bed frame with both hands to brace herself for the upcoming cock onslaught, Yugao gave Naruto a kiss on the cheek. You may begin pounding me, slave, she whispered into his ear. Without warning, Naruto reared his hip back and thrusted his entire 17-incher so deep into Yugao's that he pierced her cervix and poked her uterus. HHHH, holy shit. Yugao squealed as Naruto began thrusting in and out of her. Oh god, so tight, Yugao. Naruto groaned. Damn right it's tight, I haven't had since Hayate. Yugao screamed in pleasure. Well, get ready Yugao, because I'm going to reshape your and you so hard that you'll be limping for weeks. Naruto said before he began an all-out assault on the purple Jonin's tight needy with enough force that the bed creaked so much it might end up breaking. Oh Kami, I've never been filled like this before, Naruto. So much bigger and better than Hayate. Yes ah. Yugao got out between screams. Naruto continued to pound into the Anbuku no Ichi at an even faster pace that it looked like he was going to break through the floor of the room. The sound of their pelvises slamming against each other being the only noise besides Yugao's screams. Oh god Naruto, please don't stop. Urgh. Oh man, Yori's so tight. Naruto shouted as he began grinding his meat scepter in her. AWWWWGGGGGHHHH. That feels so good. Oh Kami, I'm CCC coming. Yugao shouted at the top of her lungs as her began spraying juices at a high velocity. A literal torrent of liquid spraying all over Naruto's battering ram. Yugao's high-powered orgasm did it for Naruto, and soon enough he felt the semen within his testicles preparing to launch into his new lover's desperate womb. Ah, here comes my baby making cum, Yugao. Fucking take it. Suck that cum with your until I can cum no more. Naruto screamed as he increased his pace. Yes, get me pregnant, make me a mother. Yugao managed to get out before she came again all over his cock. That did it for Naruto. With one final and really powerful thrust he managed to get his straight through her cervix and the glands rubbed against her uterus. Ah, it's here. Fucking take all my cum, Mistress Neko. Naruto screamed as he spurted out a massive load, at least 5 gallons worth of sperm that flooded the Jonin's needy uterus. The sheer force of his ejaculate making Yugao groans and moan in sheer pleasure. Oh Kami, yes I can feel it. So warm. After a few more spurts Yugao's vagina couldn't take in anymore and the excess sperm began to seep out. His orgasm dying down, Naruto collapsed onto Yugao and both were breathing heavy from the intense. Yugao, can you undo these cuffs now? Naruto panted. Alright, but only because you were amazing. Yugao said before the cuffs vanished. Naruto then sat on his knees and goes to remove his headband and blinks several times. He looks downwards and sees the excess sperm puddle in front of Yugao. You want to take care of that. Looking over her belly she spots the puddle and scoops up the extra sperm and inserts it back into her vagina and places a palm in front of the opening as if to prevent more from escaping. Naruto, come cuddle me you stud. Yugao ordered. Naruto smiles and nods and goes to embrace his new lover, and soon exhaustion takes over and he falls asleep. Yugao places her head on his chest when she suddenly feels a tingly sensation in her belly. Smiling she kisses Naruto gently on the cheeks before falling asleep herself. Chapter 3, Shizune's Physical. Life couldn't get any better for Naruto now, could it? We see the blonde teenager walking towards the hospital as if he had become Hokage. A couple days ago he had the CRA in place for him, so he was now free to pretty much get any girl he wants to bear a child with if they were willing, of course. Naruto didn't really mind one bit since it's for the sake of the Uzumaki clan. He did however have several crushes before Tayuya had come into his life, like Shizune, that psychotic snake Lady Anko, and Lady Tsunade herself. Oh man, the past few days have been the best in my life. Naruto said to himself as he walks up to the front desk. And Anbu had notified him that his yearly physical would occur in a few hours and to head to the hospital as soon as he could. Naruto was confused however since his physical was already a few months ago. He didn't complain however, since Tsunade was most likely the one ordering this and would be the one to check him, and he had no qualms of arguing with the Sannin unless he wanted to be punched through a city block. He enters the hospital and checks in with the front desk clerk. "Excuse me, Naruto Uzumaki coming to get my physical on orders from Lady Tsunade." Naruto said to the woman. "Uzumaki, ah yes, you have a physical scheduled at approximately 1:30 p.m, go ahead and take a seat there please." The clerk said with a smile, pointing to something on a sheet of paper Naruto believes lists all upcoming appointments. Naruto then walks over to take a seat. If there was one thing he didn't want to get, it was an STD. He began to think about his decision to accept the CRA. Yeah, sure, he was in love with Hyuga and in a relationship with her, but since the redhead said she didn't mind sharing her man with other women, he just shrugged it off. Besides, what can go wrong? Yep, I totally don't mind at all, Naruto said to himself in glee. He had been sitting for about 20 minutes before he started getting bored. Grabbing some magazines from the shelf, he goes to read them to pass the time. I mean, it's typical of doctors to take a hell of a long time swa. Another hour would pass and Naruto is seen sleeping on the chair, the magazine on his face with his body leaning back into the chair. Shizune-chan, you have such a taitahe. Naruto giggled in his sleep when suddenly someone taps on his shoulder, almost instantly waking up. Huh, it wasn't me, Naruto shouted in surprise, holding his hands into the air as if being caught. Naruto, it's me, a voice said behind him. Turning his head around, he spots his favorite medic in all the land. Standing before was Shizune-chan. Instead of her usual kimono, she was now wearing a nice nurse's outfit with the top partially unbuttoned, revealing a small bit of her double D. A white skirt that stopped at her upper thigh, revealing her nice and smooth legs with white OTK socks. To top it off, she sported a nurse cap on her head. Holy, Naruto whispered to himself, damn Shizune-chan, you Luki. What did you say, Naruto-kun? Shizune asked, pretending not to hear his compliment. Oh, nothing, I didn't say anything, Naruto said, shaking his head to clear it of any perverted thoughts. So what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be with Ba-chan? No, she told me to come and do the physical in her place since she wanted to blow through all that paperwork as quickly as she could. So here I am, the medic answered with a cheery tone. Oh okay, well I've been waiting forever, so could we get this started? Naruto asked. Giggling, Shizune then instructs him to follow her to a room where she can conduct his physical. However, Naruto would be unaware of what Shizune was really there for, besides the physical that is. After walking down the hallway, Shizune stops in front of a door and opens it, allowing Naruto to enter first. With his back turned to her, she performs a series of hand seals and creates a genjutsu around the area so she can conduct that physical without anyone barging in or interrupt her. Entering the room, Shizune picks up the clipboard on the desk and proceeds to look over Naruto's medical record. Nodding, she then looks over to the blonde, seeing him sit on the examination table. Alright Naruto, for me to begin the physical, could you take your jacket and shirt off please? Shizune asked, getting a nod from the teen. Doing just that, Naruto swiftly takes his black and orange jacket before removing his white t-shirt. What Shizune saw made her moisten a bit. Oh, wow, Naruto-kun is so toned, she thought with a blush. Her blush wouldn't go unnoticed when Naruto looks her way. Shizune-chan, why are you blushing? Aren't we going to do the physical? Hearing the blonde's voice snapped her out of her daze, and she goes to shake her head to regain her composure. Oh sorry Naruto, just a heat flash, it's not that hot in here Shizune. Naruto said. Never mind, let's start the physical. Shizune giggled. After about 20 minutes of examining Naruto's physical makeup, conducting various tests such as the duck walk and other exercises, she walks over to the clipboard and writes stuff down. Alright Naruto, you have only gained 1 pound and aside from that you seem very healthy as you were last time. The medic nin said with a smile. Great, so I take it I can go now Shizune-chan? Naruto asked sheepishly. Shizune then walks over to the blonde and shoves him back first onto the examination table and proceeds to straddle him. Whoa Shizune-chan, what are you doing? Naruto shouted with a massive blush on his face. Shizune then leans forward to where her face was inches away from Naruto's. Naruto, I know you have Hyuga and all, but you want to know something? I have a crush on you cutie. She whispered into his ear seductively before giving him a kiss on the lips. Wah, Shizune-chan likes me. Well I'll be, Naruto thought before returning the kiss. Their small kiss would escalate into a very heated and intense battle saliva, and soon enough their tongues invade each other's mouths and get into a wrestling match for dominance. Damn, she's good at this, Naruto thought as he increases his efforts to try and defeat Shizune's warm tongue. Oh, he thinks he can win, huh? Well, not on my watch. Shizune then increases her effort as well, and after another few minutes of slurping and wrapping their tongues around each other, Shizune came out on top. Aw man, why'd I always lose in tongue wrestling? The two then separate for air and look into each other's eyes. Both their faces sporting huge blushes. Wow Shizune-chan, that was awesome, right? Shizune finished. So how did I do for my first kiss, Naruto-kun? Naruto gasped when she said that. Wait, I was your first kiss? He shouted. Why yes, Shizune said shyly. Naruto smiled at her before planting a chaste kiss on each of her cheeks. You did amazing then for your first. So I take it you want to be part of my harem too-chan? Why do you think I'm doing this, you blonde cutie? She answered before taking off her top, and Naruto's eyes were transfixed at the glorious sight before him. He had never expected Shizune to have such big boobies. He watches her take her bra off, exposing the massive mounds in front of our blonde protagonist. Noticing the teenager staring at her bust, she gives him a nod showing that it was okay for him to touch her if he pleases. Reaching up, he grabs them both and proceeds to squeeze them with so much force Shizune began moaning out loud at the sensation. "Oh Naruto, that feels so damn good," Shizune said as Naruto then begins tune them. "Ah. Naruto, you're like you want to drink the milk out of them," she squealed. Naruto continues to the life out of her before he proceeds to nibble on them, earning more moans from the medic Nin. Then out of nowhere Naruto flips them over where he ends up on top. He then lowers his face downward and both their faces were mere centimeters from each other. Both of their faces sporting blushes that grew bigger by the second. "Naruto-kun," Shizune whispered as she gives him a loving kiss on the lips. What's up Shizune? You know I really like you, right? Not as a brother though," she said shyly. "I can say the same thing Shizune," Naruto said with his signature grin. Shizune sighed before looking away. She already knew he was truly in love with Hyuga and she knows that he probably truly only likes her as a buddy at best. Noticing her disappointed look, Naruto places a finger on her chin and turned her head so that they were looking into each other's eyes. "If you're worried about stealing me from Hyuga, you don't have to Shizune. You aren't at all, and I do like you a lot, not as much as Hyuga, but I really do like you. If you don't want to do this, it's okay with me. We can always be friends," Naruto reassured. Shizune felt tears forming in her eyes. She always liked Naruto. She opened her mouth to say something but was cut off. "Besides Shizune, Hyuga has absolutely no problem sharing me with other women. You know this is for my mother's clan too, and in the end me, you, her and whoever is part of this harem we'll live together in the Namikaze estate as one big happy family." Naruto spoke softly into her ear. "Naruto, I'd love that," she said with a smile. The two then kiss on the lips once more. Naruto, being the bold blonde bastard that he is, then reaches downwards and proceeds to unzip her white skirt. He pulls it off with Shizune moving her legs to help her blonde crush. With the skirt completely free from her legs, the blonde then tosses it across the room. With that pesky skirt out of the way, he then sets his sights on Shizune's soaking wet black see-through panties. "You mind Ne-chan?" Naruto asked. Go ahead Naru-kun," Shizune said nervously. With her permission he then reaches for her panties and literally rips them off. Just as he did with his Taiyu-chan, he places the moist undergarments on his face and gives it a really big sniff. "So how do I smell?" Shizune asked with a blush. "You smell great Ne-chan," the blonde answered with a husky voice that made Shizune shudder. I wouldn't mind if we skip the foreplay. I'm just too wet right now and I don't think I can hold back any longer Naruto," the medic said. Naruto raised his eyebrow at this. Who knew Shizune would be so bold to get straight to the pounding? "But Shizune, it wouldn't feel right unless one of us gives the other oral, since it adds to the pleasure, you know." "Well, fine then, let me get rid of those pants of yours," Shizune said before getting off of the examination table. She pushes Naruto onto the table, seating him on it, and gets on her knees. Reaching for his zipper with shaky fingers. As quickly as she could, she brings the zipper down and the teen's pants fall downward as if they were waiting to be freed. Looking at Naruto's bulge through his chibi toad's boxers, she blushed at the sight. "Oh my, Hyuga wasn't kidding," she thought as she proceeds to take the boxers off. "Whoa, that's hot." Now Shizune was totally impressed. The sight of his meat scepter freed from the confines of the boxers made her almost cream herself as a gush of juices leaked out instantly. Naruto saw Shizune's eyes nearly pop out of her sockets. Shizune was just staring at his super rod. "How do you like my cock Shizune?" Naruto said shyly, scratching the back of his head. Shizune licked her lips before answering her favorite blonde teen. "It's so hot Naruto-kun," she said before wrapping her hand around it, getting a hiss from the blonde. Your hand feels good around it Shizune," Naruto moaned as Shizune picked up the pace of her hand job. "Oh, you like when your Ne-chan does this to you Naru-kun?" Shizune teased as she then envelops the massive spear into her mouth. Despite being a virgin and never touching, seeing her even before, she managed to get a good 6 inches in her mouth before she almost gagged. The magnificent was too much for her little needy mouth, so she pulled it out with a trail of saliva. "Oh, I feel really ashamed of myself Naruto. It's too big for me to get in my throat," Shizune said sadly. Oh well, it's no problem Ne-chan, I'm not forcing you Tom off. You can stop if you'd like," Naruto said, placing his hand on her cheeks. Shizune however wasn't about to let that setback get to her. For some reason her libido just skyrocketed and she wrapped both her hands around his massive cock and with her tongue began giving Naruto a furious hand-tongue job, making the boy squeal in pleasure. Whoa. Don't stop Ne-chan," Naruto moaned, placing both hands atop her head. Shizune picked up the pace, making the blonde lean back against the wall, moaning his heart out. Hell, he didn't even care if anyone even heard him because his favorite medic was just stroking and licking his big cock with such efficiency. Shizune's onslaught continued for about 10 minutes before Naruto's cock starting twitching in her hands. It won't be long now until Shizune got to taste his cum, which was the tastiest thing in the world according to Hyuga. Oh god, I'm ready to launch. Gah! Naruto cried out in pure bliss. Shizune relinquished her grip on his cock and allowed her precious Naruto to stroke his cock on his own. She wanted to be the submissive one in this, and looking upwards she opens her mouth wide as Naruto was stroking his dick. After a few seconds the massive began spurting 10 cups worth of cum onto Shizune's mouth and "Naruto, you'd better get that cum in my mouth," Shizune shouted. Alright. Oh god, here comes another one. I'm gonna blast," the blonde cried out in pure pleasure. Shizune got what she wanted as Naruto gently inserted his glory meat into her mouth. Shizune was met with such a powerful spurt the cum struck the back of her mouth that it hit her uvula, almost causing her to throw up. She resisted the urge to vomit and continued to bask in bliss. Soon enough Naruto had filled her mouth to the rim with his cum and she then swirled it around in her mouth like a cum shake and swallowed it all in one big gulp that you could see the mass pass through her neck. That was delicious, Naruto. Best thing I've ever tasted. Shizune inquired with a smile. I'm glad you liked it, Nei-chan. Are you ready for me to slam you? Naruto said, picking her up bridal style and placing her onto the table. Oh please just give it to me, and Naruto, I'm a virgin. Shizune said shyly as a blush formed on her face. Wah, really? You're like 31 and a virgin. Naruto shouted in surprise. Why yeah, and I have one request, Naru-kun. You want me to be gentle? Fuck no. Slam me please. I'm gushing wet from that lovely cock of yours. So please just obliterate my tight virgin pussy. She shouted in desperation. Without warning Naruto just shoved his 17-inch spear of AAND. All of it was instantly buried inside his Nei-chan, breaking her hymen in one move. Eep. Shizune cried out in pain. Wrapping her hands around Naruto she began panting frantically. The pain of her hymen breaking was almost too much for her. Keep going. No, gentle. Hard. Complying, Naruto withdrew his cock so smoothly the pleasure from it caused Shizune to have her very first orgasm. Her firing out jets of female ejaculate coating Naruto's dick. Oh my Kami, you're filling me up. Come on Naruto, don't hold back. Shizune yelled out. Your legs funeral, Nei-chan, Naruto said as he began to mercilessly slam Shizune amazingly tight pussy. Oh she's tight, maybe even tighter than Taiyu-chan. Naruto thought as he slams the medic into obliteration. Hearing that Naruto picked up the pace and he was slamming her with so much force the table actually broke. The two of them land on the floor, but that didn't stop Naruto as the force of them falling sent his deeper into her body. His cock managed to pierce through her cervix, getting Shizune into a mind-blowing orgasm that made her literally scream in bliss. Oh, yes, she screamed as she squirted again. After roughly a 2-hour slamming, Naruto felt the cum dwelling within his ball sack boiling, ready to exit his body and spill into his lover's pussy. Oh shit, Shizune, I'm about to cum. Naruto panted, picking up the pace. God yes, fuck me faster. Go faster until you cum. Shizune screamed. With his orgasm approaching he picked Shizune up and placed her back against the wall. Oh shit, special delivery for Shizune. Naruto groaned out. With one last powerful thrust he finally delivered his long-awaited cum into Shizune's virgin hole. The force of which the cum shot out of him shot through her cervix and made its way into her uterus, with over 4 gallons of egg fertilizer pouring into her womb. The two of them panting while in each other's embrace. So Nei-chan, how was your first time with me? Naruto questioned. Amazing, you blonde stud. Shizune got out between breaths. Looks like you've totally improved from your last physical, sweetie. Damn right I did, Naruto declared before setting Shizune down gently in the floor. Alright Naruto, Kakashi is coming and I have to take his height and weight measurement, so this is where we end our alone time. Shizune said with a hint of disappointment. Aw man, that silver-haired perverted cyclops. Naruto grunted. Hospital lobby. About 30 minutes later. Naruto is seen walking into the lobby and heading out the front door. The doors open and in walks our silver-haired Jonin Kakashi Hatake. Oh, what's up Naruto? Kakashi greeted with his usual stoic voice. Up is a direction, Naruto said before taking off at light speed, leaving the Jonin sweat dropping. He smells a bit weird, Kakashi said as he hears someone walking towards him. Turning he sees Shizune limping towards him. One thing he noticed was one hand was placed over her belly. Oh hey Shizune. Sorry Kakashi, I have other things to take care of, so we'll take your height measurements next time. Shizune said before limping faster to the washroom. Kakashi's face sported a deadpan look. She smells weird too. Naruto and Tayuya's apartment. After Naruto had concluded his brutal but oh so pleasurable time with Shizune, he went food shopping for his Taiyu-chan since they were low, so he thought why not. Carrying several bags home he makes his way to his apartment door, and before he could reach for his key to unlock it, the door opens and an arm reaches out and drags him inside. Slamming the door shut, Tayuya took the grocery bags from her boyfriend and tossed them into the kitchen. She then locked lips with her Naruto and both instantly got into a very heated makeout session. They engage in another tongue battle and Tayuya quickly defeated him by pinning his tongue to the roof of his mouth. The two separate, and before Naruto could complain about his loss, Tayuya gets on her knees and unzips his pants before pulling it along with her boxers downward, freeing his growing erection. God, it's been only a few days since but I got a new idea baby, she said in a lust-filled voice. Placing a loving kiss onto the bulbous head of the massive, she then gets up and walks over to the couch. Reaching down she takes her booty shorts and her pink panties off. Getting onto the couch on her knees she then leans forward and shakes her tia singly at her boyfriend. Come one baby, take that glorious of yours in my cheeks, Tayuya said in a voice Naruto had not heard from her before as she spreads her cheeks apart with her hands. Without hesitation Naruto sprints over and grabs, taking a good look at his girlfriend. She couldn't help but smirk. Her anus was so cute, pink and puckered up as if it was waiting for him to ravage that. Don't think about shoving that up my yet babe, we'll do that later, Tayuya said looking back at Naruto. Oh I will the living shit out of your cheeks love, he said huskily before placing his cock in between the cheeks. Damn so warm, Naruto thought as he began thrusting his upwards. The cock rubbing against her valley at such a pace it was also rubbing Tayuya's anus, adding more pleasure. Hell yes, keep going baby, fuck my cheeks with that big dick. Tayuya shouted in pleasure. The pleasure the two of them felt from the mutual masturbation was way too much for Naruto to handle, and soon enough he wasn't able to get a word out that he was coming. Reaching for Tayuya's shirt, he lifts it up and soon enough he began to comb all over his girlfriend's back. Can't hold it. Got a blast. Naruto shouted as he released a blanket of comb onto the redhead's back. Oh god, I didn't expect to be this good. Tayuya cried out as she froze in place, enjoying the feeling of the comb that covered her back. Oh, damn. Naruto groaned as his orgasm died down. Sorry I didn't warn you, babe. Tayuya turned around and planted a kiss on his lips. No problem my shithead, just make sure you let me know next time or else I'll cut your cock off and use it as a dildo. Hey, Naruto pouted angrily. I'm serious, Tayuya said with a playful grin. With that the couple then went into the shower and began cooking dinner together. Outside at the door we see Tsunade peeking through the window enough where we can only see the top of her forehead and eyes. Damn, the brat sure knows how to pleasure a woman. Huge too. 3 girls knocked up and plenty more to come. There was that Karen girl who just moved here from Kusagaku. Maybe he'd like to try her next. She is really pretty and nice. Tsunade thought as she went to walk back to the Hokage's office. Then I can't wait for my turn. Haven't been in decades since Dan, so why not? Masturbating feels great, but I really want a good pounding. Damn, I can't wait for my turn to be ravaged by you, Naruto. That was part 1 of Naruto's Forbidden Journey. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to Fox Fanfiction. Tell me in the comments, should this